She left her dreams behind to help me build my business, but when money finally came I told her she never did anything for me. Her name was Sarah. Still is Sarah, I guess, but she's not mine anymore. We met in college. She was pre-med, brilliant, the kind of person who lit when she talked about helping people. I was business major with big dreams and zero capital. She'd study late into the night, but she'd always make time to listen to my ideas about starting a tech company. We're going to change the world, she'd say, eyes shining like she actually believed it. After graduation she got into med school. Full ride. Her parents cried tears of joy. Mine did too, honestly, cause they knew what this meant for our future. Dr. Sarah Martins had a nice ring, but I was impatient. My business idea was consuming me. I'd wake at 3 a.m. with new concepts, scribbling notes until dawn. The market was perfect, the timing was right, I just needed help. Take a gap year, I suggested one night over pizza at our tiny apartment. Just 1 year. Help me get this off the ground, then go to med school. She laughed. Know how competitive it is. If I defer I might lose my spot. But what if we make it big? What if in 5 years we're looking at $1 million mistake? The look in her eyes changed. Not anger. Worse, this is my dream, Jake. I thought I was dream too. That's how it started. The slow of resentment dressed as love. I kept pushing. Late night conversations that felt more like negotiations. I showed her projections, market research, testimonials from beta users. I painted pictures of the we could have. The house. The travel. The freedom. Med school will always be there, I said. But this opportunity, it's now or never. She stared at her acceptance letter for a long time that night. Then she folded it and put it in a drawer. 1 year, she said. Then I'm applying again. I promised. God, I promised so many things. She deferred her enrollment. Told her parents she needed time to be sure. They were confused but supportive because that's what good parents do. They trusted her judgment. That first year was brutal. 18-hour days in our converted garage office. Sarah handled everything I couldn't. Marketing, customer service, bookkeeping, graphic design she taught herself on YouTube. While I coded and pitched investors, she kept us alive on ramen and hope. Next year, I'd say when application season came around. We're so close to the series of funding. Just 1 more year. She looked at the drawer where her dreams lived, nodded. Year 2 became year 3. Year 3 became 4. The company grew. We hired employees, offices. Sarah became our unofficial QO, though I never gave her the title or the equity she deserved. When we go public, I'd promise, we'll get everything earned. But something else was growing too. My ego. Success has a way of rewriting history in head. Suddenly I started seeing as the visionary, the genius who built something from nothing. Sarah became background noise, the assistant who handled the boring stuff while I did the real work. Investment meetings where she wasn't invited. Industry events where I went alone. Interviews where I forgot to mention her contributions. I built this company from the ground. I told TechCrunch, sitting in our corner office with a view of downtown. She was in the next room, handling 3 crises at once with our biggest clients. But in my mind I'd already erased her. The worst part, she still looked at me like I was going to change the world. Year 5 we got the acquisition offer. $52 million, changing money, generational wealth, everything we'd worked for. That night over champagne in our penthouse apartment she finally said it. I want to apply to med school again. I'm 30 now, but programs accept older students. It's not too late. I should have celebrated. Should have her and said, you've earned this, go save the world like always wanted. Instead I felt something twist in my chest. Med school. Now, Sarah, we just made it. We're rich. Why would want to go backwards? It's not backwards. It's what I've always wanted. What wanted when we're 22. Or different now, we're different. She set down her champagne. I'm the same person. I've just been waiting. Waiting for what? I gave everything, this apartment, the cars that we have. Isn't that enough? I gave 5 years, Jake. 5 years of my. And that's when I said it. The words that killed everything good in my. Gave me 5 years. Sarah didn't give me anything. I built this company. I wrote every line of code. Pitched every investor, made every hard decision. Answered phones and sent emails. Don't act like sacrifice something when we're just along for the ride. The silence that followed was deafening. She stood slowly like she was made of glass and afraid she might break. Long for the ride. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, did. She walked to our bedroom. Came back with a suitcase. We're right about one thing. She said, not looking at me. I am different now. I'm different cause I finally see who really are. Don't be dramatic. Put the suitcase down. I cancelled my interviews for. I turned down Columbia for. I worked 80-hour weeks for. I believed in when investors wouldn't return calls. I held hand through panic when thought we'd lose everything. I celebrated every victory like it was my own because I thought we were building something together. Each word was a nail in a coffin I'd built. We were building something together. No, Jake. We're building something. I was just the free labor convinced deserved. She headed for the door, stopped. Turned back. Know what the worst part is? I would have been happy to keep supporting even after med school. I would have been biggest champion forever. But couldn't even let me have my dreams back when we didn't need the sacrifice anymore. Sarah, please. I hope the money keeps warm at night, because it's all I've got now. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like the end of the world. I stood there in our perfect apartment, surrounded by the success I thought I'd earned alone, and realized I'd just lost the only person who ever believed in me before I believed in. That was 3 months ago. Tomorrow I find out if she got into any of the programs she applied to. I hope she did. I hope she becomes the doctor she always wanted to be. I hope she saves lives and changes the world. I hope she never thinks of me again. 3 weeks after my last post, and I thought I'd hit rock bottom. I was wrong. There's always another level down when the kind of person who destroys the best thing in there. The acquisition went through. 52 million, just like we dreamed. I kept waiting for the happiness to kick in. Instead, I felt nothing, empty, like eating cotton candy when you're starving. I tried calling Sarah, blocked. Texting, blocked. I showed at her sister's place where she was staying. She doesn't want to see, Maria said through the door chain. And honestly, Jake, after what she told me, I don't want to see. Need 5 minutes. Had 5 years. Use them. The click of the door closing sounded familiar by now. I into work. Expansion plans. New hires. Industry conferences where people called me a visionary. But every meeting felt hollow. Every handshake felt. Success without Sarah was like a movie with no sound. 2 months in, our head of operations quit. Then our marketing director. Then 3 more key employees in 1 week. What's going on? I asked Tom, our CTO and my oldest friend from college. He looked uncomfortable. Jake, we need to talk. He barely touched his food. People are asking questions, he said finally. What kind of questions? About Sarah. About what really happened during the early days. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I mean, everyone knew she basically ran half the company. The whole customer success framework, that was her system. The partnerships with our biggest clients. She built those relationships. The culture that kept us together during the rough patches. That was Sarah. I was the CEO. Jake were the face. Sarah was the backbone. And now people are wondering what kind of person fires their backbone and takes all the credit. I didn't fire her. She left. Tom stared at me. Is that really what you're telling? That night I did something pathetic. I googled Sarah. Social media stalking my ex like some teenager. Her LinkedIn was updated. Accepted to Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, class of 2029. Grateful for second chances and the people who believe in them. The comments section made me want to disappear forever. So proud of her following dreams. Better late than never. We're going to be an amazing doctor. Heard about the business stuff. Good for getting out and focusing on what matters. That last one had 12 likes. I scrolled through her photos. She looked lighter. Like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Free, happy in a way I hadn't seen in years. In our last photo together, from some company event, her smile looked forced. I'd never noticed it before, but now it was obvious. She'd been miserable and I'd been too wrapped in to see it. The business started suffering. Without Sarah's operational magic, things fell apart fast. Employee satisfaction tanked. Our Glassdoor rating went from 4.8 to 3.2 in 6 months. I hired consultants, expensive ones. They came in with their clipboards and buzzwords, trying to reverse engineer what Sarah had built instinctively. Company culture is fractured. The lead consultant told me in a meeting that cost more than some people's cars. There's a trust deficit at the leadership level. What does that mean? It means people don't believe in the mission anymore. They think the company sold its soul for money. I wanted to argue, but deep down I knew they were right. I had sold my soul for $52 million in a penthouse apartment that felt like a museum. The worst part was the industry events. People would approach me with that networking smile, but I could see it in their eyes. They knew. Word travels fast in tech circles, especially when it's about someone powerful behaving badly. Jake Martinez, some venture capitalist would say, then add with a smirk. Herdix, partner is going back to school. Medical school, right? That's interesting timing. Partner. That's what everyone called Sarah, everyone except me. I started drinking alone. Expensive whiskey in my expensive apartment, staring at my expensive view. Money was supposed to solve problems, not create them. But every dollar in my bank account felt like money. 6 months after Sarah left, I got a call from TechCrunch. They wanted to do a follow feature on the acquisition. Success story, they called it. Would love to interview co-founder as well. The journalist said, Sarah Martinez, right? Our research shows she was instrumental in the early years. She's no longer with the company. Oh, when did she leave? Around the time of the acquisition. Long pause. Interesting. Any chance we could speak with her separately? Get her perspective on the journey. But I knew it was too late. They were gonna dig. The article came out 3 weeks later. The cost of success when startup dreams become Silicon Valley nightmares. It wasn't a hit piece exactly. But it wasn't the puff piece I'd expected either. They'd interviewed former employees, clients, industry insiders. The picture they painted was of a company built by 2 people where only one took credit. They quoted anonymous sources talking about Sarah's contributions. Her late nights, her client relationships, her operational genius. And then buried in the middle of the article, one devastating paragraph, sources close to the company suggest that Martinez's departure wasn't entirely voluntary. Multiple former employees described tension between the co-founders in the final months, with questions raised about equity distribution and recognition of contributions. Martinez herself declined to comment for this article, stating only that she's focused on the future and grateful for new opportunities. The comments section was brutal. Hundreds of people weighing in, most of them siding with Sarah. Stories of similar situations. Women who'd built companies only to be pushed out when success came. Partners who'd been erased from their own stories. I became the villain in a narrative I couldn't control. The greedy CEO who betrayed his loyal partner. The success story that revealed itself to be a cautionary tale about power and ego. My phone buzzed with messages from friends, family, investors. Some supportive but most just curious about what had really happened. I stopped answering. That's when I saw the email. From Sarah. The first contact in 8 months. Subject line: graduation invitation. My hands shook opening it. Jake, I'm graduating from my pre-med program next month before starting at Johns Hopkins. I know things ended badly between us, but we're a part of my journey, even if we both lost sight of that. I'm not inviting to the ceremony. I'm not ready for that and I may never be. But I wanted to know that I made it. Despite everything I made it. I don't anymore. Takes too much energy, and I need all of mine for what comes next. But I also don't forgive. Some things can't be undone. I hope find whatever it is you're really looking for. I don't think it was ever the money. Sarah P.S. I kept one thing from our time together. The notebook where wrote down all first business ideas. The ones shared with me over pizza in our tiny apartment when we still believed in something bigger than ourselves. Maybe someday remember that person used to be. I read it 17 times. Each time it worse. She kept my old notebook. The one filled with dreams instead of dollar signs. Before I'd learned to put price tags on everything, including the people who loved me. I thought about showing at her graduation anyway. Standing in the back watching her walk across that stage toward the she should have had 5 years ago. But even in my broken state, I knew that would be about me, not her. So I sat in my empty apartment and raised a glass of expensive whiskey to the woman who'd saved my dreams and sacrificed her own. The woman I'd convinced I'd built a company with, when really she'd built it for me. The woman who was graduating toward a future that would never include me. It's been a year since my last post. A year since Sarah's email about graduation. I keep thinking I've learned my lesson, that I've hit bottom and started climbing back. But every time I think I'm healing, shows me there's still further to fall. The company collapsed 6 months ago. Not financially. We had plenty of money from the acquisition. But culturally, spiritually, it just died. Key clients left when they couldn't get the Sarah level service they were used to. Employees jumped ship to competitors. The acquiring company finally pulled the plug, absorbing our tech and scattering our team to the wind. I gotta keep my payout, of course. Money with compound interest. I tried starting fresh. New company, new ideas, new team. But word travels fast in Silicon Valley. Every meeting felt like a job interview where they'd already decided not to hire me. Tell us about leadership philosophy, one potential investor asked. I gave some rehearsed answer about collaboration and shared vision. He smiled. Interesting. We heard had a different approach with last co-founder. The meeting ended 10 minutes later. I hired a PR firm. Crisis management they called it. Reputation rehabilitation. Thousands of dollars to teach me how to tell my story better. The key is controlling the narrative. The consultant explained. We need to reframe relationship with Sarah Martinez as a natural business evolution. Growing pains. Creative differences. But that's not what happened. Mr. Martinez, what happened doesn't matter. What matters is what people believe happened. I fired them the next day. Some lies are too expensive even for someone with $52 million. The isolation got worse. Friends stopped calling, not because they hated me, but because I'd become uncomfortable to be around. The guy who'd had it all and thrown it away. A cautionary tale at dinner parties. Remember Jake Martinez? Yeah, the one who over his girlfriend. Heard he's doing another startup. Would invest with him. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Chen. Nice woman, good listener. But she had this way of asking questions that made me want to crawl under my chair. What do you think we're really afraid of? She asked during one session. What do you mean? When Sarah wanted to go to medical school. What's scared about that? I'd been paying her $300 an hour for 6 months, and that was the first question that actually mattered. I guess, I was afraid she'd realize she didn't need me. And that maybe she was too good for me. That she always had been. So made sure she needed instead. I cried in that office for the first time since I was 12 years old. But understanding demons doesn't make them disappear. It just makes more aware of the damage they've caused. 8 months ago I tried dating again. Met a woman named Rebecca through some networking event. Smart, beautiful, ambitious. A marketing director at a growing startup. We went out 3 times. Nice dinners, good conversation, actual chemistry. I thought maybe I could start over. On our 4th date she brought it. I googled. She said over at some trendy downtown restaurant. My stomach clenched. Oh, the article about company. About Sarah, Rebecca, that's not the whole story. What's the whole story? And that's when I realized I didn't know how to tell it. Because the whole story made me look worse, not better. The whole story was about a man who convinced the woman he loved to sacrifice her dreams, then convinced himself he deserved all the credit for their shared success. I made mistakes, I said finally. She nodded. Finished her, I'm sure did. But Jake, I'm 34 years old. I've worked my off to get where I am. I've seen what happens to women who trust the wrong men with their careers, with their lives. She stood, left money on the table. I have gonna be redemption arc. I haven't dated anyone since. 2 months ago, pure accident. I was leaving a coffee shop downtown. She was walking in with a group of people, medical students, from the look of them. White coat, stethoscopes, that mixture exhaustion and excitement that comes with saving lives. She looked incredible. Older obviously, but there was something in her face I'd never seen before. Peace. Purpose. She was exactly where she belonged. Our eyes met for maybe 3 seconds. She didn't smile, didn't frown, didn't react at all. Just looked through me like I was a stranger, like I was nobody. That more than anger would have. I followed her group on social media later. Pathetic, I know. But I needed to see her. Her real, the one she'd built after I'd tried to destroy her dreams. The photos told the story I'd been dreading. Study groups where she was clearly the leader. Clinical rotations where attending physicians praised her work. A research project on healthcare access that was getting published. She was thriving. She was becoming exactly who she'd always meant to be. And I was a footnote. A D5 years she'd never get back, but also 5 years that had somehow made her stronger. Last month, I did something that surprised even me. I started volunteering. Nothing fancy, just serving meals at a homeless shelter downtown. 3 nights a week, no cameras, no networking opportunities, just work. Why are here? Asked Maria, the volunteer coordinator. After my first week, I need to remember what useful feels like. I told her. It's not redemption, it's not enough to balance the scales. But it's something. Small acts of service that nobody will ever write articles about. The other volunteers don't know who I am. Don't know about the company, the money, the woman I destroyed. They just know I show and I work hard and I don't complain about the smell or the hours. For 3 nights a week I'm nobody. And nobody feels better than being Jake Martinez. Cautionary tale. I still live in the penthouse, still have the money, still wake alone and fall asleep alone and spend most hours in between wondering how I became this person. But I'm learning something Dr. Chen keeps trying to teach me. Forgiveness isn't about the other person letting off the hook. It's about letting climb out of the hole dug. Sarah doesn't owe me forgiveness. She doesn't owe me anything. She gave me 5 years of her dreams, her 20s. She gave me everything, and I convinced it was nothing. Some mistakes don't get fixed. Some bridges don't get rebuilt. Some people lose forever and deserve to lose them. But still have to wake tomorrow. Still have to decide what to do with the rest of time on earth. I'm trying to do something useful with mine. Something that isn't about me for once. It's not enough, it's not nearly enough. But it's a start.